Hi, I'm Keith R.A. DeCandido, author of various Star Trek, Buffy, Supernatural, Farscape, and other novels, and you're listening to the Sci-Fi Sistas podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Sci-Fi Sistas podcast, where we give you our point of view. I'm Tamia Harper, and today I'm joined by my sisters, Sabrina Wood,
Whoop, whoop.
and Yvette Blackman-Tom.
Hello.
Hello. And we have a super duper guest with us today. We're really excited. This has been a while since we've had him on. If you've read a Star Trek book lately, chances are you've read his work. If you've read a Buffy the Vampire Slayer tie-in, or Doctor Who, or Supernatural, or Andromeda, or Farscape, Jesus, man, the list goes on. And Leverage and Spider-Man. I mean, can you get it? This man is of the body, as they say. He is one of us. We are talking about none other than writer extraordinaire Keith R.A. DeCandido. Welcome to the show.
Woo! Thank you. By the way, it's pronounced DeCandido.
DeCandido.
Yes.
Candido.
Okay, everybody gets it wrong.
Yeah, no joke. Because
Right. I've been saying it wrong forever.
Right? Like, how many years have I been following you? And that's how it was in my head.
That's fine. I spent my entire life correcting the mispronunciation. I will spend the rest of my life correcting the mispronunciation.
Okay, you know what we
I have
need?
resigned myself to this fact.
Every time your name is written, you need to have a little thing that says pronounced. DeCandido. Well, that makes so much more sense.
Yes.
Okay. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
We're really,
It is good to be here.
Yeah, thank you. We're really excited to have you here. We're going to talk, folks, today about all things Discovery. Because if you didn't know, Keith is an expert extraordinaire. Yeah, come on, you know it. You know it all. He does these amazing episode reviews on Tor.com. And if you haven't read them, please go to Tor.com and read some of them, because they're really engaging and they're a lot of fun. And you really pick out a lot of great stuff. But, you know, it's Disco's anniversary this month, you know, and, you know, so we wanted to talk a little bit about Disco. And then you have a short story tie-in, correct?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So Star Trek Explorer, the magazine that is now being published quarterly by Titan, that ties into Star Trek. One of the things, the main difference between this and the previous iterations of various Star Trek magazines that there have been over the years, like Star Trek, there was Star Trek Communicator, there was just Star Trek, the official magazine, and a number of others. This current version of it has original fiction in it.
Ooh.
Each issue has 2 stories. And then there's also a digital supplement that only goes to subscribers that has 2 more stories in each issue. So you get 4 stories every 3 months. And I've already written 2 stories that have already come out. One for the digital supplement of issue 7, which was a Deep Space Nine story. And then a Voyager story that was in issue 8, which just came out as we record this. And the next issue, issue 9, which will be out toward the end of 2023, is going to be the first time they will have a Discovery story in the magazine. Up till now, all the stories have been featuring the older shows, and it's the first time one of the Paramount Plus shows is going to be represented. And what it's going to be is basically the backstory for President Rillick. So as some of you may know, In 2005, I wrote a Star Trek novel called Articles of the Federation.
Yes, you did.
Which was a year in the life of the Federation president, specifically the year following Star Trek Nemesis, where, among other things, President Nanbako had to deal with the fallout of the Romulan Senate being turned to pixie dust and the guy who turned them to pixie dust being blown up. So, and all sorts of other stuff. Basically, it was an inside look at the Federation government, which we'd never really seen on screen. We've seen the inner workings of the Klingon government, of the Romulan government, of the Bajoran government, of the Cardassian government, but never the Federations. Just mentions of occasional appearances of a president, references to a Federation council, and so on. So I did a very deep dive on that. So when they made the Federation president a recurring character on Discovery, I was jumping up and down and dancing. And I really wanted a chance to write this character. And the Explorer proved to be the perfect place for it. I did a story called Work Worth Doing, which comes from a Theodore Roosevelt quote, about talking about how the best thing you can do in life is to do work worth doing. And it gives a little bit of her backstory and how she wound up running for president and becoming president and so on.
Oh, that's gonna be cool.
That was
like that.
I really enjoyed the hell out of that, and was honored that I get to be the first Discovery story in the magazine. I've got another story coming out that is nominally a Discovery story, but it also is going to tie into Enterprise, Strange New Worlds, the original series, Next Gen, Voyager, Picard. I think that's it. Yeah.
Oh my God!
Wow.
And Enterprise.
If anybody could do that, it'll be you.
I know.
Yeah. It's. I mean, like I said, it's primarily a Discovery story, but there's bits of those other parts, other shows in there as well. So
when does that come out?
Sometime next year.
Sometime next year. Okay.
I don't remember. I've got that, and I did another one, which is there was a Voyager episode where there was a throwaway reference to a couple of Ferengi that tried to break into Fort Knox.
Yes, I remember that.
Story too. Yes.
That should be interesting.
I would love to see.
Yeah, I want to see that.
Oh my God!
No, I want to read that.
Yes. I'm looking forward to that. Both of those are going to be out sometime next year. I don't remember.
Yeah. Not only do I want to read it,
they'll be out in Explorer.
Yeah, they'll be in the magazine.
They'll be in the magazine. Okay.
Titan has been doing. I don't know if they're going to continue doing them. I know they have been putting out collections of the stories that have been in the magazine in anthologies.
Oh.
I know they put out at least 2, so I assume they're going to continue doing that. I don't know for sure.
Okay.
I hope so.
I do too. I'm gonna have to check this out.
Yeah, I missed the novels.
That was fun. Like I said, right? I mean, President Rillick is one of my favorite characters on Discovery.
Yeah, she was. I don't know. She first came in there. I wasn't really feeling her, but okay.
I like the way. There was a great line actually that Admiral Vance had, Oded Fair's character, about how she's the conductor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that Vance is the percussion and Burnham is like the French horn or something. And they only have to pay attention to their parts, but she has to see the big picture, which I loved. Because it's true. There's true. And I like the fact that she's not just being portrayed as an annoying hidebound politician.
That was definitely one of my favorite things about that.
And just in general, I mean, they've been very good about not falling into the rather tired Trek cliche of the corrupt authority figure.
Right.
Right. I was worried about that, like when Vance first showed up.
We all did, I think.
Yes.
We're all waiting for the bad Admiral to show up. But
and they haven't. I mean, and they didn't do that. I mean, Admiral Jane Brooks' character from the first,
right.
I'm blanking on the character's name, but that she was also
Cornwell. Yeah.
Cornwell. Thank you. She was also, a good strong authority.
That was my girl. That was my girl,
we loved her to death. She's
but Vance and Rillick and Tarina, for that matter, are all really good, strong authority figures. Who they have. Sometimes they have their own agendas, and it's different from that of our main characters, but I like the way the relationship between Rillick and Burnham developed over the course of the season in particular.
Yeah.
To the point where they were working really well together during the contact with species.
Yeah.
But that was really well.
I love that you're right, those political portrayals that they have are really realistic, and it's like a little bit more West Wing, you know. You know, it's like West Wing in space a little bit, you know. You know, but I mean, they're just more three-dimensional human beings as opposed to pastiche, like I'm a politician characters, you know.
Yeah, or just, you know, someone who's ineffectual until our hero steps in to save the day, the way Jared Shahir was on Deep Space Nine.
And like Deep Space Nine, yes,
right,
exactly.
Oh, the original Trek had the worst people. Every time somebody showed up from the Federation in original Trek, they were just totally useless.
Oh.
It's always like young adult fantasy, right? You know, I mean, it's you know, like because there's always it's like the authority, like the subordinate or younger person ends up being smarter than all the adults around them, you know?
Yeah.
Although it's funny, there's one character in the original series, Commissioner Ferris in
the triple one,
Galileo 7. I was rewatching that because in addition to the reviews of the new shows that I've been doing for Tor.com, I've also for the last 12 years been doing rewatches of the older shows. I did Next Generation, then I did DS9, then I did the original series. A couple years ago, I did Voyager, and I'm in the middle of actually almost toward the end of Enterprise right now. And when I was watching the Galileo 7 again, I'm watching this and I'm like, no, I'm on Ferris's side here. They're supposed to be taking medicine.
They had to go.
And Kirk pauses to basically stare at a quasar for a few hours, and I'm like, what the hell?
Right.
You know, the script is written in such a way that Ferris is this obdurate bureaucrat, but he's trying to get medicine to sick people.
Right.
What's the hero supposed to be doing?
Right.
But and then there's Ambassador Robert Fox, who was a complete tool. So you know,
that guy. Oh my God! He even looked like he was a tool. The minute he walked on it, he's gonna be a problem. The minute he walked on, ay.
So did you finish up to where we are now? Your recaps, I mean, your reviews of Disco, each season of Disco. Are you there?
Yeah, the reviews all come out when they all go live when the episode goes live. In fact, I'm. So right. I mean, I'm doing. I just did a review of the new Lower Decks episode. We're recording this on a Thursday, and the new Lower Decks episode that debuted today. My review also went up today. So
sweet.
I've been. Those have all been very timely, and that's deliberate. You know, the whole point of having the reviews is to have them up when the show goes up as well. So yeah, I've written about every episode of Disco that's been out so far.
So let's just start with the real general. Like, okay, like let's start out here. We can bring it in. Disco's cancellation. You know, what your thoughts, your feelings around it?
I'm glad they got 5 years out of it at least, but and from what I was told, I got to meet a couple of the cast members at Trek Long Island last year. You guys were there too. And Doug Jones mentioned that they got enough warning that they were able to do a proper ending in the final episode.
Yeah.
Which is nice. I mean, I would rather it went on longer, but it had a good run. And you know, the economics of streaming services are so completely screwy. You know, and I mean, we just had two.
So they say.
We've had two strikes over the screwiness of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm obviously disappointed because it's a show I like and I would like to see it go on. But it's also, I think this is a good run for it, and assuming the fifth season lives up to especially the second, third, and fourth seasons, then it'll be a good run. I mean, I honestly, looking at the final seasons of Next Gen and Voyager and Deep Space Nine, where it was obvious that they were running out of gas, less so on DS9, but although even then, there's a certain amount of fatigue that sets in when you're working on a show for so long, and I think quitting while you're ahead is sometimes a better way to go.
That's the point.
Having said that, I'm hoping that, I mean, I'm assuming they haven't actually formally said this, but I'm assuming the Starfleet Academy show they're developing is also going to be in the 32nd century.
Yeah.
And hopefully,
right.
That's what we're hoping. Yeah.
star Mary Weissman and focus on Tilly. In which case, we'll hopefully see more of those characters, at least some of those characters.
Yeah, I said that before. I'm so glad they did that. We will be getting, because we need to keep. I was scared that they were going to get rid of Discovery, and then we wouldn't have that century. We wouldn't have anybody in that century anymore. But if they're going to have Starfleet Academy, at least, some of those people can be on that show.
Right.
Some of those characters could be on that show, or we could go back and see Burnham every once in a while, no matter, what she's doing or whoever. But I didn't want to lose those characters.
And of all the eras to do an Academy show in the post-Burn Federation, I think, is the most interesting.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I totally agree.
Yeah. I'm really want to see that show. Definitely.
I mean, that's the meat of it,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there's so much more to explore of what's happening in the 32nd century. I love, one of my absolute favorite things they did was establish Ni'Var.
Yes.
And that Spock actually, succeeded.
Yes, right.
It was centuries after he died.
Yeah.
Which I adore that. And I love all the story possibilities that opens. It's funny. I didn't realize this until I forget. I think it was when I was writing the overview of the third season, that of the 5 founding worlds of the Federation, the only one that was still in the Federation when Discovery showed up in the 32nd century was Tellar.
Tellar, yeah.
Yeah, Earth was out, Ni'Var was out, Andor was out.
Yep. Tellar was the only one.
Yep.
And they were the most cantankerous ones there.
Yeah. They stuck with it,
from the beginning. They were cantankerous. But it's always them, right? It's always the troubled child that'll stay with you.
As a tribute to that,
glad everybody was gone.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
In my short story, in my Relic short story, I had the previous president that she replaces, in essence, be a Tellarite.
Oh, that's right. He was a Tellarite. Min, was that?
Well, no, they didn't establish one way or the other.
Oh, you didn't establish. Yeah. Okay.
So I had actually been a very old Tellarite woman who'd served like 5 terms, and she didn't run for re-election because it's like, the burn's solved. This is going to be a hell of a lot of work. I'm old. I'm tired. We need someone else.
Okay.
Okay.
That's pretty cool.
She's the one who convinces Relic on.
Okay.
I can't wait to read the story.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I'm ready to read it. I'm dying for it to come out.
I know, right?
Come out. I love tie-ins.
So you've done a review for each season of Discovery. Like, what in your mind, which ones were the standout seasons for you?
Honestly,
thus far, obviously.
The only one I wouldn't rate high would be the first season, and that was at least partly due to the behind the scenes turmoil, because they went through, as did the second season. They kept going through showrunners the way most people go through underwear. But I think I would have to choose season 4 only because it is in so many ways the most purely Star Trek season of any of the shows. I mean, this is what I point to whenever I hear some idiot online saying, "Oh, the people running Star Trek, they don't understand Star Trek." They absolutely understand Star Trek.
Yeah.
The season was about seeking out new life and new civilization and boldly going where no one has gone before and all that crap. Yeah. And it was, the thing that makes Star Trek unique and special, and why I think it's endured for almost 60 years now, and why I love it so much, is that it's always been about the compassionate solution rather than the violent one.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Starting with like the Corbomite maneuver when Enterprise still takes pity on the ship that nearly killed them.
Yeah.
Still rescues the guy.
Yeah.
The Dominion War ended because Odo returned to the Great Lake, not because of any military superiority or any big battle that was won, but because Odo did a nice thing.
Yep.
The burn was reversed because they rescued a 100-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And season 4 of Discovery embodied that beautifully. That it was figuring out a way to talk to a very alien species, and and finding a way to work together, through talking, through understanding, through compassion rather than through violence. And all of it, that whole season was just the perfect embodiment of what Star Trek is about.
Yeah. I love that scene where they had to vote. I mean, that was just one of the best scenes ever, when they had to decide what we are going to do as the Federation, and everybody had a say. And that was, they made it dramatic. Like, oh my God, we're seeing the tally coming up and this backfighting and all kinds of deal makings on the side. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was wonderful. I loved seeing that.
Yeah, I just got a little goose pimples, because I remember watching that for the first time and just like being like, oh man, this is the stuff, right?
Having said that, I also loved seasons 2 and 3 for their own reasons. I loved season 3 just because it moved things forward.
Yeah.
It's Star Trek has been at its best when it moves forward, and one of the things that I was very grateful for in 2020 was that we finally got that. Since Voyager went off the air, the franchise had been constantly looking backward with then with the Bad Robot movies, then with the Discovery in the 23rd century. And I was so relieved that between Picard and season 3 of Discovery and Lower Decks and then Prodigy, they were finally moving forward. Yeah, which is what they should have been doing all along.
I agree.
Having said that, season 2 managed the amazing accomplishment. If you had told me in any time prior to 2019 that they were going to do a Captain Pike series, I would have said, why?
Right.
We already, in essence, had it. They just renamed him Kirk. The original series is more or less what they wanted to do. Mm-hmm. They just recast most of the characters. And then the second season of Discovery aired, and my entire world was about there being a Captain Pike series.
Yes. Same thing. Yeah. That is my favorite season.
That is the one.
Season. That is my season. I watch it over and over again.
And this is why this is why I always argue that there are no bad ideas. There's only bad execution.
Right.
Because the idea of a Captain Pike series is ridiculous because we've already done that. Right. But the execution is phenomenal. Anson Mount, Ethan Peck, and Rebecca Romijn were stunning in season 2 of Discovery, and they've continued that in Strange New Worlds.
Yeah.
It's a great cast. It's wonderfully written. They've just done a wonderful job with it. And that's one case where I'm okay with them looking backwards simply because it's well executed, And I like the fact that the approach they're taking is so broad at in general with what's
you mean Strange New Worlds?
Well, with all the shows we've got the option of doing so many different things. Mm-hmm. We've got the early 25th century, the Picard season 3 left it open for doing more stuff.
Yeah.
On the latest Enterprise.
What was that?
And Lower Decks, and if they ever bring Prodigy back, which I hope they do, is exploring other things, and then you've got Stranger Worlds doing some interesting recontextualizing of the 23rd century, and then you've got Discovery in the far future, and hopefully the Academy series. There's so many different storytelling possibilities, and it used to be that the tie-in fiction was the only ones doing that.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And I like the fact, and you're seeing this in the Star Wars franchise too, where they're using, they're exploring so many different time periods and areas of the fictional history.
It's funny you said that. That's actually what I'm doing now is watching and rewatching the Star Wars just timeline. I'm like just going through the whole thing because I've watched the 3 movies that really count. I mean,
right.
I mean, honestly, they're the only ones that really count. But I'm now because I want to watch Ahsoka, so I just feel like if I don't watch the other stuff, I'm missing out on stuff. So
Clone Wars is absolutely.
I just finished it. Brilliant. Do you know I was sitting over here going, no, over a cartoon. So good. It was so. I just finished.
Clone Wars is more or less what the prequel trilogy should have been.
Yeah, it should have been. It should. They should have just put that out because you really didn't need that other stuff. But it was fantastic. So Bad Batch, I'm trying to get through Bad Batch right now.
I mean,
I'm behind. I have to.
Yeah.
Bad Batch. I love Bad Batch.
Our first season is done. It was a lot. It was a bit much because I think I was still trying to recover from that last season of Clone Wars.
Yeah, well,
so good.
I feel like a break would have been necessary.
I needed a break.
But their animated world is just so on point.
Yeah. I mean, the storytelling is fantastic. I mean, there are things they did where I didn't expect that from a cartoon. You know, I mean, the storyline was intriguing, and they did things that, you know, most, not even cartoons, but live action just won't do. You know, so I was like, this is good storytelling here. I like it. I like it a lot. But I digressed. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to bring up Star Wars.
Back to Star Trek.
Don't have to. One of my questions for you, Keith, was, you know, just looking at all of this that you've written and the fact that you even created your own universe. How do you keep all these universes straight?
Yeah.
Like when you're writing for them.
An infinite capacity for useless trivia, I guess. I don't know. It's all stuff I enjoy. You know, I mean, there's a certain amount of immersing yourself in it that you have to do when you start. Like for example, when I'm writing, I have an original series, my Precinct series, which is a series of a mix of epic fantasy and police procedural. Yeah. And every time I write a new book or a new short story in that world, I sit down and I reread the whole freaking thing that I've done before, just to get the character voices into my head, to remind myself of what happened, because I'm not necessarily going to remember. You know, and even when I'm doing a tie-in work, I'm gonna rewatch episodes that, at least, if not necessarily all of them, like with Star Trek, I can't do that, but I will rewatch episodes and movies that are relevant to what I'm doing.
Okay.
You know, like for example, when I wrote the Rillick story, I sat down and I rewatched seasons 3 and 4 of Discovery, just to make sure I didn't forget anything. And especially season 3, because I needed to get a feel for what the Federation was like right after they fixed the burn, and where that, you know, and what kinds of things they'd be dealing with, and also the time during the burn, because I was doing flashbacks to when Rillick was younger.
Okay.
Her as a teenager working for her father's cargo
ships,
and then later when she was working as a diplomat. So I had to sit down and rewatch that, and I always do that whenever I'm starting up a project, is immerse myself in what it was, in what material I've got. You know, Tommy mentioned I did Leverage and Andromeda, and in both cases, you know, when I sat down, even if it's something I've already seen, Supernatural too, I sat down and I watched everything that was available at the time that I wrote them, just to get the character voices into my head and get the universe settled in there, you know. Yeah. And it's the same thing with my own universes, because I've got several. I've got the Precinct is the biggest, but I've also got a couple of urban fantasy series going, one set in Key West, one set in New York. I'm about to start writing another urban fantasy, which I hope to be able to formally announce soon. It's going to be it's called Supernatural Crimes Unit. It's going to be a division of the NYPD that deals with crimes involving magic and monsters. So it takes place.
Okay.
What? Okay.
So it takes place in contemporary New York.
Oh, that's for me.
Yeah.
I was like,
okay. Especially Keith, he knows. Because I hate when people not from New York write about New York, because New Yorkers always like, no, that's not correct. And it's always little stuff, but yeah, I can't wait. That'll be good.
Yeah, I you can always tell when somebody does what I refer to as the Google Maps version of the city.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yep. I'm like, that is not the way to get there.
Or they get the details right, but not the feel, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Especially when they're trying to say we're traveling to get it. I'm like, no New Yorker would do that. That came from Google Maps. There's no way you would get on that road to go there.
I love it whenever somebody who's supposed to be local refers to Avenue of the Americas. It's like, no, that's 6th Avenue.
Oh my God! Come on,
you are not a tourist.
Even I know that.
I had to think twice. Like, what the hell is that?
Avenue.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, right. That's what it's called.
Only on the
Oh,
sign.
it's funny. I was doing when I was doing a supernatural book that took place in the Bronx, actually, because I try to write the outer boroughs wherever possible because
thank you. I appreciate
understand
you.
that there is more to New York than Manhattan south of 125th Street.
Thank you.
Or Brooklyn.
And Brooklyn, yeah. Right. If they want to get really edgy, they'll do Brooklyn. Yeah. But my one of my urban fantasy series takes place specifically in the Bronx. But I also my first supernatural book had the boys coming to the Bronx dealing with some Edgar Allan Poe themed killings that were happening, and I involved the Poe Cottage.
Wow!
We're on Grand Concourse, and
that's pretty cool.
And and one of the things I realized I can't have when I'm in the point of view of Sam and Dean, they're not from New York, so they are going to call the streets what they're called on the map.
Right.
I had to actually call University Avenue Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard because that's what somebody. Like, even though I don't know anybody who calls it that, it's still University Avenue to most
always.
People. You know?
Because I'm like, is that true?
Yeah. But somebody coming in from out of town is depending on a map. Yes, they're gonna call it whatever it says on the maps.
Well, it's always, like you said, it's always nice to have people who are from your location actually writing your location. I mean, I live in DC.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
Constantly misrepresented. I mean, and part of that is because we're supposed to be like, like if you watch shows like NCIS or something, which is hilarious to watch this show and live here in this city, and they'll show shots of like Georgetown or something, which is, all like these old colonial looking houses and, brick down by the waterfront and stuff, but they're going to call it Adams Morgan, which is a completely different neighborhood.
Oh my God.
All the way across town, and like they do that, like they do that type of stuff purposely, like misinformation campaigns, like
also depends on what locations. I mean, they film in Los Angeles for one thing, so
exactly. Like
Toronto,
and like
Toronto.
Even the shows that film in New York, sometimes like they'll say that like this is a bar on a street in Brooklyn. It's like, no, that's in Riverdale, Bronx. I know that's
it's always Riverdale. It's always Riverdale.
But that's also
what I love,
and I don't mind that because at least. It looks like it could be a street. In Brooklyn. And it's wherever they could get the location.
You guys ever like catch yourself watching a show that's supposed to be in your city, and you look at, and they'll show like the public transportation or something, and you look at that's not our bus.
All the time.
Our bus but what they always they never get the the license plate right. Because I always look for the license plate, and I'm like, no, that was not here.
They always get the metro stations wrong, and the DC ones.
My favorite was one time on Castle, which of course filmed in L.A. Yeah. They had somebody who was on trial, and they freed him from the courthouse by landing a helicopter next to the courthouse and freeing him that way. And my first thought was, one, there's nowhere to put a helicopter near the courthouse in Manhattan.
No.
We'll let that one go. However, since 2001, if you fly a helicopter anywhere near the courthouse, which is remarkably close to where the World Trade Center used to be, you're going to have a couple F-14s up your ass.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, first of all, you ain't landed.
Yeah.
You ain't landed
Not
there.
One piece.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. You won't even make it across. No, I'm like, that's all New York. And I think the thing that I think people, when they make movies, they don't realize how they are traumatizing New Yorkers by always destroying the city. Yeah. There's monsters. I'm like, why? Why do you keep destroying our city? Didn't we do enough?
Gorillas on top of shit.
Everything. Just please stop. And then, we all survived 9/11. Please stop.
It started with King Kong and Godzilla and kept going.
It just kept going. I was like, oh, come on.
Talk about a digression. I love it.
Yes, very much. But yes, I try to write the New York that I actually live in. One of my favorite books that I've written. You mentioned I did Buffy the Vampire Slayer books. My favorite of the 3 Buffy books that I did was called Blackout, and it focused on Nikki Wood, who was the Slayer that Spike killed on the subway in 1977.
Ooh.
Who was basically. What I wrote was, if Buffy the Vampire Slayer had been created in the 70s by Gordon Parks instead of Joss Whedon in the 90s, this is what it would have been.
Nice.
It was because the character was deliberately created as a tribute to, Foxy Brown and Cleopatra Jones and all those characters. And I had so much fun writing her. I was writing my childhood. I was 8 years old in 77. Yes. And I lived, I lived through the
blackout.
The blackout.
The blackout was that year, right?
Yeah, that was, and I made that part of the story.
Mm-hmm. I was in Pennsylvania.
Oh no! You were on the East Coast. It was like the blackout.
It was a fascinating night. I was actually in Central Park when it happened. We're seeing a play. We were in the theater, and the lights went out in the middle of a song.
Mm.
And of course, the show must go on. So the woman who was singing finished the song, without a microphone anymore. But she finished the song, and then they told us all to leave.
Wow.
Go home.
Yeah, because the lights, the whole city was out. We narrowly missed a large brick being dropped on our car as we drove home.
Wow!
And,
oh my God!
Yeah, that was fun. But
I really want to read that story. I have to look up that story.
What's the name of that story?
It was called Blackout. It was
Blackout. Okay.
Buffy novel. It had Spike on the cover. Spike coming to New York to hunt a Slayer. I have him going to CBGB's to try to catch the Ramones.
Nice.
CBGB's.
And I gave Nikki's full origin story. Fighting vampires and monsters and stuff. And there's a gangster vampire who works out of Harlem named Reet Weldon, who's
of course
pretty much a vampire version of Bumpy Johnson. And
oh my God,
more or less.
That's funny.
So that was fun, and I had a lot of fun with that. And Reddy Drusilla was also fun too, because she's completely batshit. But but that was, it was like I said, it was like writing my childhood. And I love doing that. I love writing stuff that takes place in New York generally. And I've come back to it quite a bit. I've actually, I'm talking with Eastbeck Books, who publishes my Precinct books and some other stuff I've done, about doing a short story collection specifically of my New York themed short stories.
Oh, that'd be great.
That'd be real nice. Yeah. I would love to read that. I like that. Now, let me ask you a question about you said you had a Precinct story. Can you tell us
the Precinct? It's a series of novels and some short stories also. The first book is called Dragon Precinct.
Okay.
And it takes place in a medieval fantasy setting, your classic D&D Tolkien style sword and sorcery setting with humans and elves and dwarves and wizards and magic and stuff. But the main characters are detectives who solve crimes, the members of the Cliffs End Castle Guard, who are tasked with maintaining law and order in the city-state. So the stories are police stories, with murder mystery type stuff. But the setting is, right out of your average D&D game.
Oh.
So there's
the mind of Keith.
6 novels.
I know, like medieval forensics. I can't wait.
Yeah, right.
Forensics is basically handled by a wizard, but
of course, as it should be.
But there's Dragon Precinct, Unicorn Precinct, Goblin Precinct, Griffin Precinct, Mermaid Precinct, and Phoenix Precinct. Manticore Precinct still to come. And also a short story collection called Tales from Dragon Precinct. There will be another short story collection, which I have imaginatively titled More Tales from Dragon Precinct. And that'll be out in a year or two.
Okay. You can't waste time with titles with the way you're writing. I mean, more.
Right? Right. I'm like, this man is a writing fool, man.
I'm like trying to get my head around this.
I have to. If I stop writing, they stop paying me, and then I have to get a real job.
Right. And no one wants that.
Well,
awesome.
I have a question because I read a little bit about you and I realized here that you were brought up by two librarians. Your family, you come from a family of librarians?
Yes, yes.
I find that really like just classic. I mean, so tell me a little bit about how you became a writer, how this all started. What was your home life like that you came out to be this incredible, machine?
I mean, books were a part of my life from jump. My parents read to me constantly when I was a kid, and then we would read stuff together when I could read things on my own, and they gave me stuff to read. A lot of what they gave me to read when I was too young to know better was The Hobbit and Ursula Le Guin's Earthsea trilogy.
Get out.
Robert Heinlein's YA books, and also P.G. Woodhouse's Jeeves and Wooster stories.
Nice.
Pretty much
they're not playing,
right?
And I also got into reading superhero comics at a young age as well, and that was a big part of what formed my writing career in a lot of ways. But the first thing I wrote was when I was 6. It was a little book, about an 8-page long book called Reflections in My Mirror. I did it on construction paper in summer camp. It's terrible. I was 6, but I still have it. It's on a shelf over there. I keep it around to keep me humble. And,
how it all started.
Yes. But I've always wanted to make stories. Like, people ask me, when did you want to become a writer? It's like, I don't know. It was always there. The desire to create stories has always been there. I wrote a really, really, really bad Star Trek novel in high school, which might be on a 5 1/4-inch floppy disk somewhere. I may have finally thrown it out at some point when I moved. I don't know. It could be buried in a box somewhere in the house. But it was awful. And I started another science fiction novel in high school that was even worse, and I never finished it. But I also wrote for the high school paper and for the high school literary magazine, and then worked for
that kid.
Paper at Fordham. It was just called The Paper. The Paper. Yes, all lowercase.
Fordham.
At Fordham University. Yeah,
it's so original.
Yes, class of 1990. Go Rams.
Sorry,
I
Sabrina.
I wasn't gonna start it.
Sabrina.
Go Satyrs.
Oh my goodness.
Ooh,
I don't care about the sports teams that much anymore.
You guys almost took us out. Fordham and Holy Cross. That was the game last year. Okay, our game is coming up in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
He's like, I have no idea.
I worked for the paper. That was the extent,
And so you just got the scores and put them in there. You didn't care.
But no, that was actually my first experience with editing, and that was when I first graduated college. That was what I did for a living until the writing career took off.
Okay.
For the first 8 years or so, I worked actually, ironically, at Library Journal magazine, keeping it in the family, as it were, and then I worked for Byron Price, who was a book packager, and I worked for him for 5 years. And then I went freelance. Still did some freelance work for Byron for about a year or so, and then struck out on my own. I still do some editing. I edit anthologies, and I do some freelance editing here and there, both in the genre, and I also do some editing actually for the Society of American Baseball Research. Yes,
my favorite thing you edited.
I am so proud of that.
So for people who are actually listening to us and not,
I always do that.
Yvette is holding up a copy of Star Trek Tales of the Dominion War.
Yes, that was a short story anthology I edited that came out in 2004. Mm-hmm. It is still in print. We still get royalty checks every 6 months. They're not very large because we have to split them among 12 authors, but still, it's and I hit some kind of zeitgeist with that anthology because there were a lot of Star Trek anthologies that came out in the 2000s. Actually, starting in like 99, there was Enterprise Logs, there was The Lies of Dax, there was a series of anniversary anthologies, DS9 Prophecy and Change, Voyager's Distant Shores, Constellations for the original series, and then The Sky's the Limit for Next Generation. And there was also, I did the Dominion War anthology, there was Tales from the Captain's Table, there was a New Frontier anthology. All these came out like between 1999 and 2009. and Seven Deadly Sins was another one, Mirror Universe anthology. Of all of them, the Dominion War is by far the most successful, and the only one that's still readily available.
Yeah, but this is not just a book. So this is I wrote all in this book, but it's not just a book. Like when I read it, so you have to actually pair it with other books. If you want to know exactly how the timeline works, you got to watch episodes. You got to get I did. So you have because it tells you all these stories are during the Dominion War. So it tells you where it's starting, where it falls. Yeah. So you have like this guide. Like I read it the way I read it the way it told me to read it. Well, this falls, but the history is that this story is in the pale moonlight. I'm losing my voice. Right. And so I watched it in the pale moonlight. Then you read this. I think you have to, and then there's another book you read with it, the Battle of Beta Z, because I think that's the one you did, right?
No, I didn't write that one.
Oh, I know, but you wrote the short story that goes with it, right?
Yeah, that was I wrote the story of the fall of Beta Z.
What is that? Yeah.
That one of the things we tried to do was like dramatize some stuff that was mentioned on the show. Like at the beginning of In the Pale Moonlight, they mentioned that Beta Z fell to the Dominion.
Yeah.
I dramatized that from Loxana Troy's perspective.
It's so good.
And that was kind of like I said, that was published in 2004. Writing that story was my 9/11 catharsis story.
Wow.
I think every writer who lives in New York is one of those. Every writer who lives in New York who was working in the early part of the millennium has one of those.
Yeah.
That was mine. It was a story about getting a kick in your complacency, and there is no character in Star Trek more complacent than Loxana Troy. So, and it really was. I thought it was. It's one of the stories I'm proudest of, honestly.
Really? Okay.
But we also did. Dave Gallanter dramatized the Breen attack on Earth. That just
okay.
Yeah. It's good. I mean, there's so many things in here, guys. If you're a DS9 fan, especially Dominion War, this is something to get.
Although there's not that much of DS9 in it.
There's everybody. I think everybody that wasn't mentioned in DS9. Yeah.
The whole point of the anthology was to broaden the focus to show what the rest of the Star Trek universe was doing.
But it was going
there's a Klingon story, there's a Romulan story, there's a Spock on Romulus story, there's a McCoy and Scotty story, there's a couple of Enterprise D stories, and there's a couple of stories involving DS9 as well. There's a Corps of Engineers story. Peter David did a New Frontier story. Michael Jan Friedman did one that sort of ties into his Stargazer series.
Yeah, the Stargazer one was in here.
Yeah. So I liken what DS9 did with the Dominion War to what MASH did for the Korean War. It showed the war through one group of people in one particular location, but there was a lot more stuff going on.
Right.
So the anthology, the idea of the anthology was to broaden it a little more. And we got to do some fun stuff. David Mack did a story that sort of served as a prequel to Nemesis, because they mentioned that Shinzon led a regiment during the Dominion War. So we showed that, and it also showed how he got his hands on some of the stuff that he used in Nemesis. And there was Bob Greenberger did a story focusing on Captain Clegg, who was a character that actually I'd been writing, but I wanted to do the Loxana story, so I asked Bob to write the Clegg story of how he lost his arm, which was a story that we had told had been mentioned in several novels.
Impossible plausibility. What was that one? The Klingon one you did? Impossible.
Diplomatic Implausibility.
Oh yeah, that one.
that was a working title that nobody ever changed.
That one, yes, that one.
So was Articles of the Federation, by the way. That was never the final title. That was just a working title, and nobody came up with anything better.
Right. Perfect.
Having said that, that's also true of Star Trek Picard. That was always supposed to be a working title.
I can imagine.
And again, nobody could come up with anything better. So
all you had to say.
Right. So, Keith, I want to ask you about the International Association of Media Tie-in Writers.
Okay.
Because you guys do a lot. You put out a lot of work there. And are you chairing it right now or something?
No. I'm just a member.
Okay.
The IAMTW was formed in the early 2000s by Max Allen Collins and Lee Goldberg. Currently, Jonathan Mayberry is the president, and Rigel Allure is the vice president. And they're it's basically trying to do for tie-in writers what SIFWA does for science fiction and fantasy writers, and what the HWA does for horror writers, and the MWA does for mystery writers, and so on. Just having our own organization and our own awards, and just advocating for ourselves, and networking for each other, and helping each other out. There's the group has been helpful in particularly for some people new to tie-in fiction to deal with some bad contracts occasionally. And just a resource for us to help each other out. And we've put out a couple of anthologies, and there's more coming.
Great. Because I love the ones that I have.
We had a lot of fun with those. The first one, Turning the Tide, was a fun little thing with public domain characters, and then Double Trouble was team ups of classic characters. And we had, Jonathan Mayberry and I put that one together, and we had so much fun with that. I think my favorite was David Mack's story, which closes the anthology, which was teaming Prospero with Don Quixote.
Oh wow!
Oh my god!
Yeah, and Dave took it the extra step, because the bits from Prospero's point of view were written almost in iambic pentameter. I mean, it was still prose, but he tried to keep everything with the rhythm of iambic pentameter. And then the parts from Don Quixote's point of view, he wrote in the more flowery style of most of the translations we have of Cervantes' work. And then there's one scene from Sancho Panza's perspective, and that is in Dave's normal style. But it was beautifully done, and there's a lot of really good stories in there. Kevin Anderson teamed up Captain Nemo with Frankenstein's monster.
I was just thinking of that one. That was a brilliant story.
Yeah. Wow.
What's the title?
What is the title of that one?
It's called the anthology is called Double Trouble.
Oh, Double Trouble. Okay.
The subtitle is an anthology of two-fisted team-ups.
Captain Nemo. That's one of my favorite stories.
The Nemo Frankenstein story. Delilah Dawson had a story that teamed Lydia Bennett from Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice with Lord Ruthven from John Polidori's The Vampire. So it's basically two very different British aristocrats from the 15th century. Derek Tyler Attico not paired, actually. It was a three-way team-up. There was Jekyll and Hyde, Dracula, and John Henry.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yep.
It was so good. That was
I remember that one, yeah.
And my story was, I paired basically two badass immortal African women. Aisha, who is the title character in H. Rider Haggard's She, which is a Victorian-era book about an immortal woman who rules a secret nation in Africa called Kor. And the one change I made was that in Haggard's novel, she's a white woman. And it's also, like many 19th century works, it's written as Haggard presenting an account that he found in a box somewhere, so it's somebody else's account of it. So I basically decided that Haggard changed the original to because his Victorian audience would not accept a woman of color ruling a nation.
Okay.
So
that story was brilliant.
And I teamed her up with a goddess from the Yoruba pantheon, Igunganoya.
Oh,
I've actually written in another story. She's a supporting character in my Bram Gold books. So,
nice. Okay,
so that was fun.
She's a great character.
I have them teamed up in 2017 Philadelphia.
Okay.
And it's really weird to me.
I'm writing all these
titles. Right, me
down.
too.
I'm looking at it and I'm like, wait a minute
now.
Like, slow down. Hold on.
I need to find this one.
What was weird writing it was that it was really in essence a period piece, and it was only 6 years ago. But it was the fact that it very deliberately takes place in the first year of the Trump administration. That's an important and amidst all the rather creepy things that were happening during that year.
Yeah.
So
I want to cut your head open right now and look in there. You are coming up with,
I mean, pulling stuff out. I'll take that. I'll take that. I'll take that.
I'll take that piece.
The Double Trouble anthology, like I said, that was huge fun to do, and like some of them were like, big name characters. Like Rigel Allure teamed up Marion of Sherwood with Annie Oakley. Some of them were a lot more obscure. Dayton Ward pulled these two comics characters from the 1940s that like only appeared like 4 times each.
Of course.
One is Captain Battle, who is a World War I vet who was trying to stop another war from happening, at which he was less than successful. And then Blackout, who is an Eastern European scientist whose town was bombed by Germans while he was performing an experiment, and it gave him superpowers because it was the 40s, and
that's what happens.
And
that's all it took. You're doing something,
and together they beat up Nazis, which is
right.
Always a good thing. But James A. Moore pulled a couple of pulp characters out of obscurity. One of whom was very obviously a first draft of the Shadow.
Wow,
pretty much the same character, but he predated the Shadow by about a decade. So yeah, it was a great, wonderful anthology, just taking all these different public domain characters and throwing them together.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna be getting that.
That's on both of our lists.
I'm gonna pick that up. Oh yeah,
I got mine at Shore Leave
from whatever your online book dealer of choice is.
Say again.
It's available from whatever your online book dealer of choice is.
I appreciate you.
And I also am bringing copies to conventions I go to. So
okay. That's what Sabrina. To me, that's where you got yours from Shore Leave, right?
Right. I got mine at Shore Leave.
Yeah, that was where we launched the book, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome. We wanted to make sure we targeted July as the pub date precisely because several of the contributors we knew were going to be guests there. Me, Derek, Dave Mack, Rigel Allure, Ben Rome was there also, and a few other people. Dayton. We were all going to be guests at the show, so we wanted to make sure that we thought that would be a good place to launch it.
So here's a thing that I didn't realize until I got home, and it was useless to me. Well, until the next time. That is so cool that they do in their books is they have pages dedicated to autographs, and they have a space for each contributing author to autograph. So you can collect all the autographs from those authors in that book. And had I known that before I got home from Shore Leave, then I would have had a lot more autographs in that book.
So I have to give credit where it's due. I stole that idea from Danielle Ackley McPhail and Mike McPhail and Greg Schauer of Eastbeck Books.
Okay.
They started doing that in their anthologies, and I loved it. I thought that was a brilliant
idea. Yeah.
And we stole it for Double
that down.
I've got my wife, Ren Sims, and I have edited an anthology that we're hoping to have out this fall, finally, called The Four Somethings of the Apocalypse, which are alternate takes on the Four Horsemen.
Nice.
The Four Librarians of the Apocalypse, the Four PTA Moms of the Apocalypse, the Four Cats of the Apocalypse, the Four Customer Service Representatives of the Apocalypse, the Four Television Executives of the Apocalypse. And we did the same thing for that too. There's a page at the front where for each of the contributors to autograph it.
That's pretty cool.
We had a lot of fun with that anthology. Also, I'm glad it's finally coming out. We're launching a very small press called Whisperwood. And starting a small press.
Congratulations on that.
Don't congratulate us yet. It hasn't completely happened.
It'll happen.
And it's been an absolute nightmare doing it. We kickstarted this book 2 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And we're finally, hopefully, getting it out this month. There's just been so many different roadblocks and obstacles and stuff. But once we get this book out, it'll be subsequent projects will be easier to do. Having said that, we're only going to do like one project every 2 years or so.
Yeah.
We're not. This isn't a major ongoing concern for us. We're both far too busy with other things. Yeah. But it was a case of, between the two of us, we have all the skills necessary to run a small press. I've got the editorial skills and the connections and such. Ren has the production skills and also the editorial skills, but she does book production. And she's also good at managing finances, which is good because I suck at it. So she's handling all the money. That's her job. And she, like I said, she does book production. She did a great job on the book design. And we should have it out soon. Hopefully, I'm hoping by the time this actually goes live that the book will be out.
We'll be looking for it.
Yeah,
sure.
Definitely.
My story for that was the 4 septuagenarians of the apocalypse.
Oh, nice.
The title of the story is "What Do You Want From Me? I'm Old."
I'm old.
It's another one that takes place in New York, actually, and it was inspired by here in my neighborhood in the Bronx. There is a deli which has a couple of benches out front, and there's always 3 or 4 old people sitting there hanging out, to the point where during a community meeting one time, somebody pointed out that we don't have a proper senior center in the neighborhood. The closest we have is the bench in front of Sean's, which is true. That's our senior center. And so I riffed on it.
That's funny.
Oh, I love that.
I got, 4 old people sitting in front of a bodega on 206th Street.
I love it. Oh my goodness.
Okay. I could really talk to you all night, because I remember even at Shore Leave, we started talking about one of my all-time favorite shows on earth, which was Leverage. And we had a lot of fun. And I mean, if I start going into Leverage stories with you, man, we're going to be on here forever.
Always come back.
How many Leverage tie-in things do you have written?
Just one. There are only 3 Leverage novels altogether.
Okay.
Matt Forbeck wrote one, which was called The Con Job, which actually took place at a large comic convention. I did The Zoo Job, which took place both in Boston and also in a made-up West African nation.
I'm gonna test your Boston book.
Involved a very small zoo in central Massachusetts that was supposed to get their hands on an endangered rhino, and it disappeared. And so the Leverage team has to figure out how to find the black rhino and get it back and save the zoo. And then the third one is by Greg Cox, who, a name you should be familiar with as
yep.
Star Trek novels. He wrote The Bestseller Job. He wrote about publishing scams.
Nice.
And the Leverage people, basically. And I actually, when I was trying to come up with pitches to pitch, when I got the opportunity to do so, I was trying to come up with a story for publishing scams, and I couldn't make it come together, so I pitched this thing instead. So I'm really glad Greg did it, because I thought that's the sort of thing that absolutely is perfect for the Leverage team, and I knew no TV writer would get it right.
Mm-hmm.
Because the television writers and movie writers know nothing about book publishing, and they prove that every single time they write about it. So I'm glad that was done as a tie-in book, and it's kind of appropriate.
Mm-hmm. I think that there's like a similarity in almost kind of, okay, I don't know how to say this quite right. Like almost like there's a reason why I love both Leverage and Star Trek. And I think that it's because at the root of it, it's about ultimately doing the right thing.
Yes. Yeah.
In both of those shows, that's what Leverage is so endearing. That, it can be like formulaic to an extent, like, what's going to happen. They're going to be successful at whatever job they're doing. And, you can time the beats, when they're coming, and here's going to be the double cross, and now you're going to get the triple cross revealed. And, and then now's the recap of like how we actually pulled the con off, and I never, ever get tired of it. Ever.
But you're right. They're both about ultimately helping people, know, and I mean, there's a reason why a plurality of Star Trek episodes starts with them responding to a distress call.
Right.
Yep. the main characters in Star Trek are generally heroes. You know, they're always, even Voyager, which was focused more on getting home than it was on doing exploration. Still were always.
Was it though?
What?
Was it though?
It depends on which episode you watch. Sometimes it was, sometimes it wasn't.
I think they could have got home a lot sooner if they would have just kept going.
Yeah. But I like the fact that they never turned their back on people who needed help either.
Right.
You know, that they like counterpoint when they basically serve as refugee transport for telepaths trying to escape a totalitarian regime. Which was perfect. Yeah, that's so Star Trek. You know? You know, that their willingness to do that. But yes, I have some issues with Voyager. Although I am glad I rewatched Voyager because I hated it when it first aired. And rewatching it again when I wrote about it for Tor.com, which I started in 2020, which was also the 25th anniversary of the show, which is one of the reasons why I did it then. I'm glad I did that because I appreciate it more now than I did 30 years ago. But it 25 years ago, whatever. Math is hard. But there are still aspects of it that annoyed the crap out of me, and part of it was the inconsistent. It's like, are they exploring this region or are they trying to get and whether they were not dependent on the needs of that week's plot, you know,
right?
Which was kind of maddening. I mean, it also turned out to be I started it in January of 2020 just because, like I said, that was the 20th anniversary, and then the world ended 2 months later, and it proved to be one of the most valuable things for me, and also for a lot of the readers as well. Knowing that even though the world was going completely crazy around us, that every Monday and Thursday we had the Voyager rewatch. And it was something of a comfort.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. I was going to ask you like. Okay. Sorry.
Like rock, paper, scissors. Hey.
I know, right? Rock, paper, scissors, Spock. When you do your rewatches on Tor.com, can't people like interact with you? Is like is there, you can message back and forth or on
There's
those?
a comment section.
There is a comment section. Okay.
Yeah, and unlike most comment sections on the internet, this is an actual good one. The Tor.com is one place where you can read the comments. They're generally pretty heavily moderated, so trolls don't last particularly long. And the discussions there are actually quite civilized and interesting for the most part. So yeah, and I try to participate in them where applicable. But yeah, no, the comment sections there are pretty good, and there are some episodes that have had ridiculous numbers of comments. Like Darmok for TNG had a lot. Tuvix had a ton.
Tuvix
just mentioned it too. Oh Lord.
And for Strange New Worlds, Ad Astra per Aspera had a lot of time. With good reason.
Yes, instant classic.
Oh yeah,
definitely, most definitely. Speaking of classics, I just wanted to know before we even wrap up, what are you looking forward to see how Discovery ends? Because I think no one's talking about Discovery. They're talking about it's going to end, but what do we want to see? What do we want the ending to be like?
I don't know. I mean, honestly, the way I want it to end is with them going off on their next mission. One of my favorite endings to a TV show was the 90s show Hercules: Legendary Journeys, which, despite the fact that Kevin Sorbo turned into a complete idiot in his dotage, nonetheless was a fun, wonderful show. I adored the hell out of it.
It was a lot of fun.
And I love the fact the last episode ended with Hercules and Aeolus walking down the path, going off to their next adventure, which is exactly the way it should have ended. And that's kind of what I want for Discovery also. In much the same way the Next Generation aired with I mean, yes, it had Picard finally playing poker, but it also they were going off to their next mission. And that's that's what I'd like to see, is them just continuing to do what they do. Just because we're not watching them every week doesn't mean they're not still out there, doing the whole seeking out new life and new civilizations thing, and rebuilding the Federation. And I'm hoping that's what the season's going to be about. Is more about not the galaxy in crisis again,
right.
but something a little more manageable.
Yeah,
definitely
want to see them. I want to see more of the Federation.
More
of them help rebuilding it. I want to see that. Yeah, definitely.
Well, Keith, I want to say thank you so much for joining us for your first inaugural Sci-Fi Sisters visit, because I'm sure hopefully we can have plenty more.
Oh yeah.
Well, there was that Farscape thing you and I talked about.
Yeah, definitely.
Hells yeah, we gotta talk some Farscape, buddy. When is that rewatch coming?
Tor.com actually did a Farscape rewatch a bunch of years ago. It wasn't by me, but
a bunch of years ago, man.
Yeah. It's on the web. It's
we need to talk Farscape.
Definitely next season I will do that Farscape show. Definitely. I want to get into that. You guys were telling me about it. I was like, oh, I want to.
Oh yeah, you got people slept on Farscape, and I mean, that show was brilliant in so many ways. It was absolutely brilliant. And okay, don't get me started. It's time for us to sign off, man. That's a whole, like you said, that's a whole nother show. I got to do the rewatch myself, But I still got to finish my watch of Enterprise. So.
Oh God!
I'm as we record this, I'm watching. I was actually in the middle of watching it when we had to start doing this. I'm watching Daedalus.
Oh wow!
With the wonderful Bill Cobb as the guy who built the transporter.
That one's kind of that's out there.
Spooky. That one's spooky. Yeah, it's like, what is going on? What is happening? In space, and what do it to the brother?
Right.
Okay. See, I have so much to look forward to.
Yes, you do.
So before you guys spoil it completely,
sorry.
For me, it's only been how many?
It's only been 30 years.
I rewatched Voyager and I gained a new appreciation of it. I was hoping the same thing would happen with Enterprise, and it really didn't.
Nope.
Shit.
Whatever. It's my show.
It is.
That's Sabrina's show.
I love it.
My apologies.
You went to Florida. What am I expecting?
Oh no! Wow!
Ouch! Okay, you're gonna go there.
No, I know it. I'm all about my little Enterprise Island.
I thought you were safe, huh?
It just, I am watching it all the way through like this. I am frustrated by their constantly taking the easy way out of everything, and there's just, the show could have been so much more than it was.
Oh yeah, had a lot of potential.
Yeah.
Because there were some really good episodes.
Having said that, it's got a beagle, which forgives a lot.
Right?
Finally, a dog.
I love Porthos. Porthos is awesome.
So cool.
Porthos. That's the only thing he likes about the show.
The only
dog is cool.
But the dog is awesome. I mean, come on.
The dog is awesome. And T'Pol.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Actually, that's it's funny. Every single show doing the rewatch, there's something that doing the rewatch made me appreciate more or less. And the thing with Voyager, for example, I was particularly taken by the fact that when given good material, Robert Beltran was actually good at playing Chakotay when he got good material. Didn't happen very often, but when he did really well by it. Same thing actually with Jonathan Frakes. He did. Riker was never my favorite character when I was watching Next Gen the first time. Going through the show again, I really got a good appreciation for what he brought to the part. With Enterprise,
he's a great director.
Also. With Enterprise, I really appreciated T'Pol a lot more. She's the only grown-up on the ship, for one thing.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
And she's the third consecutive character who moved past the aggressive male gazing of her character by the producers.
Yeah.
to be a fascinating character. You saw it with Terry Farrell playing Jedzia Dax, with Jerry Ryan playing Seven of Nine, and then again with Blaylock playing T'Pol, where it was obvious they were cast for their looks, at least to some degree.
Right.
In the case of both Ryan and Blaylock, also costumed with heterosexual teenage boys in mind for the most part. But they all three of them rose very far above that and created really interesting, complex characters. In Ryan's case, she's still doing that character. So
yeah, right.
I mean, that's been one of my favorite things about Picard is seeing the older Seven of Nine.
Yeah, I think you made a comment. I think it was you made a comment that Discovery has a lot of women and they're not sexualized. Like they're,
that was me.
And it was you. And when you were saying that, I thought about that because, that always gave me that cringe, like with TNG, always had that rapey type of feel to that show. And I mean, they have great episodes, but sometimes I just can't get past that with that show. And Enterprise does the same thing for me. It's just like so creepy at times. And I'm like,
all the half naked, like scenes in the decon, they're in
for
the shower,
no reason.
Literally no reason. They're having conversations that can be had fully clothed anywhere on the ship. You did not need to have that conversation right at this moment in decon. They could have gone through decon, then come out on the ship and still had the same damn conversation, and it wouldn't have changed a thing. But nope, we had to sit there, watch them like grease up each other. And I'm like, that's not soap. Of all,
to be fair, they were equal opportunity about it. You saw Scott Bakula and Connor Trinneer take off their shirt fairly often.
Many
also.
Times.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I mean, if it meant the same thing in our world,
doesn't mean the same thing. Come on,
take off his shirt.
It's not the same thing.
If it meant at all the same thing. Now, if they had given me some frontal, then we might be even.
My favorite was one. There was one episode that opened with like four of them, like a bunch of them in decon. You had Sato greasing up T'Pol greasing up Archer, and Archer greasing up Porthos.
Right.
This is the worst porno ever.
Yes, exactly.
I'm a dog.
Jumping back to Yvette's comment for a second about Discovery, that actually was prompted because that was something that was sort of in the back of my head, and it was actually a comment by my mother that put it in the front of my head.
Okay.
Because she was the one who was saying how incredibly gratifying it was to her to see so many different women of so many different colors, of so many different body types, of so many different personalities and interests, all working together, and none of them were sexualized.
No.
And that really, my mother just turned 76, and she grew up in the 50s and 60s, and seeing that meant a great deal to her. My mother also is someone who lists her religion as feminism. So
I love it.
My girl, love her. Put your mom on the show too.
Right, you can bring your mom next time.
By all means, I this did not develop in a vacuum. No, seriously, I owe a lot to my parents. And they always encouraged me and always were good about letting me, find my own way and always helping me do what I do. And they never told me I couldn't do anything. They always made sure I knew what the consequences might be if I did something. But they always made sure I made informed choices, but made my own choices anyway. And still, to this day, have always been there for me, and I'm there for them. We actually live down the street from my parents now.
Oh wow!
They're both they're in their 70s, so
they're young. Some young folks.
Right?
Yeah, but there's two, they share their house with two other people who actually helped raise me, who are also librarians. Four of them all share the house, and all four of them are in their 70s, and all four of them have various myriad health difficulties. Nothing horrible, but they add up after a while. So having us around is useful.
They have each other.
And,
right. I think that's like, I'm sorry, just to go back to that comment about disco again. I mean, I think that's one of the things that endeared that show to me so much. I mean, yet another reason why it is so hugely important in our franchise. I mean, because it's man, when they talk about doing first, I get, and I'm glad it did what it did, because it pulled a lot of I'm gonna call them SBDs, the silent but deadly, like homophobe, racist, little assholes in our fandom, out of the closet, and expose that shit for what it really is. And because they were just, this show is just so amazing on all levels in that way. The word representation to me has become a little bit empty because we use it so much. You forget what it really means, but it means what your mom said. It's like there were real women in those characters, like real women don't go around all damn day talking about men or doing stuff, just, I said not all damn day,
Right.
some of us do, like, a good bit
usually
of the time.
Talking about what idiots we are, but yes.
That's usually what it is.
I'm saying, like, is real women with real jobs and real lives doing real shit, who are not vapid and who are not like total sex bots. And it's a huge, huge deal.
My wife absolutely adores the character of Tilly. My wife is a very smart plus size redhead, and she sees herself in Tilly. She doesn't see herself on TV very often.
Right.
And when in the episode where Saru made her the acting first officer, she was bouncing. I've never seen her bounce like that before, because she adores that character, because that's she sees a lot of herself in Tilly, and she rarely gets to see that. And that's, I mean, Star Trek at its best has always done that. I mean, in 1966, having a black woman, an Asian guy, and a Russian guy working together with the good old American white folks was incredibly radical.
Yeah.
That was huge then.
Yeah.
I mean, it's de rigueur now, which is great. But just doing that and not having it be commented on. Yeah. The fact that Sulu was Asian was nowhere near as important as the fact that he liked botany and collected guns. The fact that Uhura was black was not nearly as important as the fact that she loved music. That's what, I mean. You had Chekhov with the whole Russian invention thing, but that still, but nobody took that seriously. And so that was huge at the time. And like I said,
in the middle of the space race when that was on.
Yeah.
That was like we were enemies, and here he is sitting on the.
Well, I mean, while it was on the air, you had civil rights fights going on. You had a war in Southeast Asia, and you had a Cold War with Russia, and here is this TV show saying it'll be fine. We'll all be
going to work out
together. We'll all be working together with the pointy-eared alien guy, and everyone will like it. And then later seeing with Cisco, with Janeway, with Bashir for that matter, and now with seeing Burnham, seeing the new captain of the Enterprise is a queer woman.
It is.
This is awesome.
Right.
And the first officer.
Right. And
the first officer, who is also a woman of color.
Yes, and aside from the first episode of Discovery, we haven't seen that.
Yep.
Right.
And honestly, one of the things that pissed me off about the first season of Discovery is that the show I was promised in the first 2 episodes is not what we got.
Oh my word! Who are you telling? Who are you telling? Oh my God!
And having said that, the actual show they were doing started in episode 3.
Right.
That the show should have started with the 3rd episode, because
those first 2 episodes. What the hell were they, and why they were so unnecessary?
Yeah, that should have been a 2-part flashback story done in like the 4th or 5th episode in.
Yep.
That it was just. I was much more invested and interested in the adventures of Georgiou and Burnham and Saru on the Shenzhou than I ever was in Captain Jackass on the Discovery.
Right.
And
I believe that time should have been spent more so that we could when Burnham does mutiny, it really means a lot more. I mean,
that's
how we would have felt more empathy and more, gut wrenching, as opposed to like watching Burnham and Giorgio like traipsing through the sand.
Yeah. And I was much more invested in that relationship. Having said that, I like the fact that we've actually, because in a lot of ways, Star Trek was originally envisioned by Gene Roddenberry, even though he pitched it as Wagon Train to the Stars. It was really Hornblower in space. And one of the fun things about Burnham is that in Burnham's journey, we're seeing something similar to what we saw over the course of Forrester's Hornblower books, which is going from midshipman all the way up to captain. And watching her journey has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And just because we don't see that. Usually we see captains when they're already, they're already in charge and they've got backstory, but seeing her actually work her way up to it's a nice change. And the one thing we haven't talked about, which I do want to mention because we're not only talking about Discovery, is even if Discovery did nothing else right, it gave us the character of Saru, who is like the perfect Star Trek character in so many ways. And I'm not just saying that because Doug Jones is awesome. Although Doug Jones is, in fact, awesome.
He is.
But that character is just so wonderful in so many ways. He's the prototypical outsider character that almost every Star Trek show has had, from Spock to Odo to the EMH to Worf to and so on. But he's just such a wonderfully, curious and empathetic character. And I also loved watching him be in charge of the ship and the change it had. Like at the beginning of the first season with Lorca in charge of the ship, Discovery was not a very pleasant place.
Right.
And then when Saru took over after we found out that it was really Lorca's evil twin Skippy, it became a kinder ship. It became, instead of like in when Lorca was in charge, everybody stayed away from Burnham in the mess hall. When Saru was in charge, people actually walked over to Tyler, even though they knew what he was, and sat with him and welcomed him anyway. Right. And just that change, was nice to see. And I loved watching Saru when he was in charge. One of my favorite moments in the third season was shortly after they come forward to the future, and Saru basically very gently and politely but firmly slapped Giorgio down and made sure she stayed in line and did what he said because he was in charge. And it was beautifully done. And I wanted to sing the praises of that character. Like I said, I that's one of the best things that Discovery has done, is given us that character. And the others, I love them all.
Yeah. We love Saru. We love Saru.
Well, guys, I mean, this has been a great discussion, and I really, really do appreciate you, Keith. Thanks for, even though I butchered your name, but now I know. But now I know. So we're looking forward to you coming back next time, and thank you so much. And Yvette, do you want to tell folks where they can
yes,
write to us their thoughts on anything, any of the myriad topics that we covered tonight?
You can find us at sci-fisistas.com. That's SYFYSISTAS.com. Join us on the mothership. That's MUTHASHIP. And the Sci-Fi Sisters Book Club, both on Facebook. On Instagram, TikTok, Threads, sci-fi.sisters. And we're also on that platform formerly known as Twitter at Sci-Fi Sisters. Become a patron of Sci-Fi Sisters today at patreon.com/Sci-Fi Sisters. The Trek Geeks Network's presenting sponsor is Fansets. Go to fansets.com for pins and memorabilia from all your favorite franchises. Visit fansets.com and use Trek Geeks, all caps, for your exclusive 10% discount. After listening to this podcast, please rate us and write a review. We may just read it on an upcoming episode.
And of course, we got to give a shout out to the baddest engineer in any and all universes, known or otherwise. That is Dose the Anonymous One. Dose, 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 dose. If you are in need of production skills or music skills, because he's responsible for all the music you hear on this show as well, hit him up on Instagram at dose_the_anonymous_1, the number 1. Okay, y'all, we love you. Thanks for listening, and peace, love, and hair grease. Hey, everybody. It's Sister Tamia here with this month's Shorty Shoutouts. We'd like to thank the following patrons for your contributions. Anna Post, Susan V. Gruner, Muhammad Noor, Anne Marie, Sue K., Karen Dramera, Duffy Boston, Eve England, Dave A. Gregory, Timothy Baum, The Chief Ernesto Castagna, L.M., Howard Hogan, J.R. Poole, Ann Bradley, Scott Jensen, Jamal Taylor, Starbase Centaur 4210 Productions, Stephanie Dole, Sailor Marge, Stephanie Baker, Kaylia Zawacki, Liza Albright, TJ Jackson Bay, Olga Kravchuk, Peter Heisler, Olda Klein, Linda Anderegg, Zakia Graham, Bill Erickson, Mark Richmond, Rita Poussant Nethersall, Kendra Strenad, Rhonda G., Bernadette Garcia Galvez, Holly Smith, and Tara Jefferson. Thank you all so much for your contributions. We love y'all. Peace, love, and hair grease.